We're interviewing highly successful digital marketing agencies from across the country on how they've grown and scaled their agency. And today I am super pumped. We've got two young entrepreneurs from Canada that are just crushing it. We've got Seth VanDaele and Nicholas Cormier from Home Builder Marketers. Have grown over the last 12 months from a relatively small number to over $100,000 in MRR. I knew when I first saw them at one of our intensives, they had the energy, they had the spirit, they were going to take massive action. And so I'm really excited for you guys to hear their stories. Guys, welcome to the podcast. Thanks so much for being here.
Dude, thanks for having
us.
Yeah,
so
we're excited to be here.
Let's start off, if you could, just each of you kind of introduce like the agency, kind of your role within the agency, kind of, and also let's start with what kind of clients you serve and what the lay of the land is.
Yeah, sure. I can kick us off, and then Nick, if you want to kind of take over.
Yeah.
So we're home builder marketers. We work with home builders. We have a few remodelers that kind of fall under that umbrella too, the guys that do both. But we're working with home builders kind of all over the world. I get to say all over the world because we just got our first international client in the UK. But I would say probably 80% of our clients are in the US, and we're kind of a full stack agency. We do everything from lead generation to brand voice to follow-up systems. But yeah, we found Seven Figure Agency. It was about maybe 18 months ago now at this point. And at that point we had, I think, like $200 in MRR. Like, it was practically zero. Everything was per project basis. At that point, we didn't have a niche. We were just working as like a general agency, kind of taking any client that we could. And nothing was on a reoccurring basis. And then we came out to one of the intensives and we were like a little bit mind blown. And it changed a lot for us. But I guess you asked too, what's my role with the company? Anybody in here that follows EOS, I am the integrator and Nicholas is the visionary. So that's kind of our dynamic.
Got it. Nicholas, if you want to share a couple 2 cents as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, just looking back on time, like I feel like time just like, just flying by. But I remember when we first went to that intensive, like, cause we've been running, the marketing agencies since we were 18 years old. And we've been like two, I guess you could say, very ambitious guys where, in the early days, like, I think we spent probably 2 years making 200 calls a day, 5 days a week each. Like, it was just wild. Like, that's how we got like our first 200 customers, with just brute force. Like, not in a home builder, just any niche. And but we were always on a hamster wheel, and like, we kept increasing our revenue, but our expenses were creeping up, and we had no systems or no strategy. And like, it was always like we were looking at each other at the end of the day, like, man, we're crushing it, but like at the same time, we're losing at the same time, if that even makes sense. And so when we came across Seven Figure Agency, we went to the intensive, and I just refer back to those growth box checklist, because like, it was literally like, we looked at that and it was like, dude, we have 2 of the boxes checked here. And then, in the beginning, because we started with jump marketing, and then, it wasn't really, we started to really gain traction when we niched down. And that was like the hardest mental pivot we had to make, was niching down. Like, it was like, we're going to lose access to all these other people if we niche down. And so it was like a hard barrier to pass. And then as soon as we did, I was like, no wonder it's like one of the first things you got to do, because it made it way easier because we just had to learn the home building space, understand exactly what the problems were. And then now it's just kind of like keep duplicating that over and over and over again, rather than trying to learn a law firm, a dentist firm, or, a restaurant, because they're all different businesses. They all operate different. They all have to be marketed in different ways. And to think that you can master the marketing with 50 different agencies is kind of like saying that you would be able to learn 50 different, like, you know what I mean? Like, obviously business is business, but like, yeah, niching down was by far the best thing that we did.
So good. All right. So we're at 100K in MRR now in that space. I'd love to go back. Jump Marketing was a generalist agency, had project revenue up, down. And then eventually you decided, all right, we're going to go in on home builders. Talk to us about like why that niche and what your thought process was around the niche selection process.
Yeah, that's a great question, Josh, because we, at the start, when we came and visited you guys, we were like, well, what niche do we pick? Like, we're working with all these different types of companies. And I think a lot of agencies, when they find seven-figure agency, they come to this crossroads where they're like, well, where do I want to go vertically here? And the reasoning to how we landed on home builders was when I was 19 years old. So about 5 years ago, I was the youngest person in Canada to sit on a board of directors for Construction Association. And that was a huge in on the industry. And Nicholas and I both, we both worked construction as well. And we get the blue collar industry. Those are the types of guys that we resonate with. You know, they're a little rough around the edges. You know, it's like, they're our type of guys. And so we get along with them quite well. And so it was kind of just a natural pivot into there because we already had a few builders we'd worked with and had gotten decent success. So we kind of took that transition of me being on that board of directors. I got to see behind the scenes the real issues that are going on in the industry and kind of apply a Band-Aid to that, or apply a solution to that, I should say. And the other part to it was how high ticket it is. So, you know, a custom home, you're selling a custom home from anywhere between $500,000 to, we have clients that sell $10 million homes, but say on average, it's like $1 million. They're making like $200,000 of profit per build that they do. So we get them one build per year and it pays for our services and more. So that was a huge thing too, you know, versus like if you're working with the restaurant industry, like it's very high volume. You gotta, you know, that's a low ticket item. You got to sell a lot of plates of food to cover your cost of marketing. So that was one of the other reasons why we went into the building industry is just that. Yeah.
So and then this might sound go ahead. Oh, sorry. This might sound counterintuitive, but like the home building industry is also super outdated where a lot of these people don't know technology, and we're running into this like weird time where home builders been in business 30 years, but they don't have anything in place. And like people who have been in business 2 years are like killing it. And they are like, oh, I got more than enough work. And it's when there's a problem in an industry, I feel like that's the best time to come in and help solve those.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, there's got to be a very specific problem you can solve. So I love the fact that you were like, okay, where do we have some background expertise? Seth had the kind of the in from being in construction. You had both worked in an industry. You had the affinity because you feel like you talk the language and you also enjoy those types of people. And there's a high transaction value, so the economics make sense. There's a good time in the marketplace where they're struggling a little bit right now to get these build projects. Talk to us about the first client within the space. Like, how did you get, like, sometimes like, okay, we're going to go after this niche. Like, how did you get that seed case study client?
So you should rock that one, Seth, because
Okay. Yeah. Well, like I mentioned, or like Nick mentioned, it started with cold calls and door knocking for us, actually. Like, our first 2 years of business, we didn't run any ads. It was no partnerships, no joint ventures, nothing. It was all just like brute force. We're going to cold call 200 calls a day. And at one point we had 6 other sales guys in an office and all we were doing was cold calling. And it generated a lot of revenue for us. But again, it was all project work. And so one of the few clients that we got in that was a builder out in Kelowna. And that's where I live, by the way, is Kelowna, where anybody who knows Kelowna, it's where Dan Martell lives, actually.
Yeah, we think Kelowna, automatically like Dan Martell pops in every head.
Yeah. Everybody thinks Dan Martell. So anyway, we got a builder out here and we got tremendous success for him. He was one of our most successful clients too. And so we pivoted that case study into we're only going to work with builders. So, I had happened to be in the same town as him. We went and filmed some testimonial videos with him and he was like our first case study. But let me give some advice from at least from my perspective, for anybody that doesn't have that first person in the industry. You should do some free work, in my opinion, for somebody in that new industry you're trying to break into. Like I really love Alex Hormozy, and Josh, I'm pretty sure you're a big Hormozy guy too.
Oh yeah.
And what he talks about in $100 million offers and leads is you want to basically just get your foot in the door any way that you can. So even if that means you're doing a little bit of free work to get a case study, it's going to pay dividends, because if you can then get 3 case studies, but maybe you put out a little bit of money on your side, that will just help you break into that industry that much more. And honestly, they're probably going to be a little bit of a guinea pig for you as well. So it doesn't really make sense to charge them full price in that case anyway. So that would be my opinion. We happen to have kind of a segue just because there was a couple builders we were working with right from the start in that industry when we had generalists. But yeah, that was how we pivoted.
I love that. Yeah. So kind of already had the case study client, decided, okay, we're going to go deeper here. Let's go formulate the case study. Let's go capture some video content. But then from there, like, how did you parlay that into the next handful of clients?
I want to talk this. You can expand on this too, Seth. But Seth, you came across. How did, I guess you actually met John, and that would expand into how we got our first joint venture. But I think that was our in to a joint venture. But yeah, you started that relationship. So
Chris Rodriguez said something to me at that intensive that we were at. And she said that you were one joint venture away. I don't know if she said it on stage, but you were one joint venture away from a 7-figure agency. Yeah. That pierced me. I was like, okay, I need to get a joint venture or 8 of them. I want an 8-figure agency. Well, no, anyway, I went and I was just kind of like on the prowl for like, who can we partner with? Who can we start to work some stuff out with? And at this point, we knew that we were going to niche down into the building industry. And we just had kind of started running some ads. And it was like we were running a testimonial ad, the one that I was telling you about that we shot that got a lot of clients for us. And we got a builder interested in working with us that was down in Pensacola. Nick, your ringer is on too, man.
That's okay. No worries.
It keeps banging. And anyway, we were running ads. We got on a demo with this guy, this builder that was down in Pensacola, still one of our best clients to this day. And he mentioned that he just started using this new software. And I'm like, oh, what's the software? Start inquiring. Anyway, found out that there's this new project management software in the space. And so I'm like, oh, dude, set me up with a call with them. I'd love to meet them. And so what happened was really quickly after that, we got in touch with this project management software. We flew down to them the same week that we got introduced to them and went and just like locked down this joint venture. Nick and I were like taking it super serious. Okay, we need to go and meet these people in person. They got to know how serious we are. So we hopped on a flight from Canada, went down to Dallas, met with their team for 2 days and just built a relationship. And from that relationship, that one joint venture, that brought us our next, I believe, I don't know how many clients that brought us in total. I'd have to go look. Easily over 50 paying clients on a recurring basis just from that one joint venture. And that's also, we pivoted that into multiple other partnerships with other companies they were associated with. So it's just been this compound effect from one joint venture into another joint venture, into more clients, into more content, into speaking opportunities, and everything that's, kind of where we are at now has kind of transpired from that one joint venture that we got. So that was a huge thing for us.
I would love to share the just quickly about the risk, or because a lot of the times, nothing happens in a perfect timing, you have to make things happen. And when we flew there that week, but then they presented with us hey, there's a speaking opportunity. You can set up a booth. There's going to be 1,000 builders here. And they showed us the pricing, and I believe it was 20,000 USD. And then we were like, okay, well, we're going to have to buy a booth. That'll be $4,000. So anyways, we ended up having to spend probably 30, 40 grand just to to get everyone there and make the event happen so that we would do a good job. And that was still early when we didn't have any MRR, really, to be honest. So we were okay, well, we're niche down. I think we came out with home builder marketers in that period of time, and we confirmed everything. But then we committed by taking a huge risk, because we spent money we didn't have with the expectation that we could at least impact and educate a bunch of builders about marketing. And I feel and that was, again, pointing out these check boxes. It was well, this is a check box, and we need to check this. And then with having because it wasn't one thing either, you need all the boxes checked in order to be really great, and so I don't know, I just want to highlight that, because it's it came with the action, but then we also had to literally put all our chips on the table, plus chips we didn't have, to right. And then hustle to make it work,
Yeah, good point.
So you guys took a big swing. It was a risk to fly out there. It was a risk of your time. Maybe it turns into nothing. And then okay, now we're going to have to put some money we don't have on the table, and may or may not work out. And fortunately it did. I love the fact that you guys, you took that risk, and it really, you said something, and I believe this wholeheartedly. I say it again and again. You're just one joint venture away from 7 figures or your next 7 figures in your agency. But it started with getting clear. We want a niche, right? Okay, we're going to focus on home builders. Then proving yourself as experts in that space by having proven results and actually documenting that with the client, which you did. And then I think both of you guys naturally just have great charisma, great salesmanship. You've made the calls, you can close the deal. So you kind of proved yourself in that, right? And so when you got that opportunity with the ideal perfect joint venture partner, you were ready, right? You were primed. Yeah. They saw the win-win. Can you talk a little bit about what that relationship is? It like a JV, like financial, or is it just like they like you and believe that you're going to help their builders? Like if you can talk a little bit about how you structured that relationship.
Yeah, absolutely. So actually no money transfer in that specific one. It's literally when we flew down there, they had a big office building, still do. And they had probably 50 or 60 employees in there. And what we did when we flew there, the benefit to why we jumped on this was because we got to present in front of their whole team. So we met all 60 of their team members and got to talk to each and every single one of them and explain what it is that we do, why we're, why we're a good option to refer. And what we came up with was anybody that they send our way, we'll give a 10% off discount. And now there was no money transfer in that case, but what they used it as was, if you sign up with us and you use them for marketing, the percentage that you save with using them will actually cover our fee. And so we become free if you use them. And so that was kind of a big plus for them. And so then they started kind of, on sales calls, the sales guys would be like, and then it would kind of be like an easy transition into a referral to us. Like, if you want to save some money with us, you should, go with them, and then you can save the percentage and it works out to cover our fee. So that was a big one. Another joint venture though, that we structured this is a really neat one that you could even think about possibly doing, Josh. What they do is we get 10% off. We give 10% off our services when somebody comes in as a referral through their platform. I'm talking about, Association of Professional Builders. They're a big company out of Australia. I'm not sure if you've heard of them. Anyway, what they do is we give 10% off our services, okay? But they invoice us directly. So the APB, the Association of Professional Builders, invoices us the 10% that they save and gives an 8% rebate to their client. So this incentivizes anybody that is in the APB program to use anybody on their marketplace, any of their partners, and then they get a rebate directly paid to them by us. It's a unique system how they have it set up, but it allows us to not go around them. Not that we ever would, but it keeps people in their program.
Yeah. And for them, it's like, wow, they're getting these big checks, back. That it feels like, wow, look, I'm glad I'm part of this association because I'm getting these funds in my rebates, which is an epic way to structure it.
It is
very cool. So it's not always a percentage of revenue, right? I think you shared that perfectly. It's like sometimes it's, hey, look, we're just going to exchange business and it's going to make sense. Yeah. Sometimes, we'll give that discount to the client and now they feel good about you because you're passing the referral. Gil's got a great question here. Like you mentioned, the main one, it sounded like was a CRM. It started off with a project management platform in the industry, but it's kind of branched out from there. What are the other types of organizations that you form these relationships with?
Yeah, so coaches are a big one. There's a lot of different coaching companies in the home building space, particularly. Actually, probably there's massive amount of coaches in almost any industry right now. And so those are really great referral partners because oftentimes when somebody's hiring a coach, they want to grow their business. And when they want to grow their business, marketing needs to be involved. And if you can be a great solution to that, it's a great joint venture. And then project management has been a big one. And then also part of a few referral groups with just other vendors too. I'm in the works of a really big one right now too it's 7 service providers that are all in the home building industry. There's lenders in there. There's multiple different industries all in there, but they just share referrals. And then it's like almost like a BNI structured group, but it's different. Only for the building industry. So you just have to look at who else is servicing your clients and in what way. And then you want to kind of go one step ahead of yourself. And what I mean by one step ahead of yourself is, who are they going to contact before they need marketing? Okay, well, they're probably going to talk to a coach, or they might talk to an accountant, or they might talk to, this type of person, right? And then if you can build relationships with them, then they'll refer you because you're further down the line. Yeah.
Super good, Gail. Hopefully that answered your question. So we've talked about kind of like the niche, how you chose the niche, like how you've landed the first handful of clients. Let's talk a little bit about the program and like, what is it that you actually deliver, how you charge for it? Like, what does the mix of services look like for your ideal client?
Yeah, absolutely. Nick, you want to take that?
Yeah. So we structured it with three packages. So like it's essentials, growth, and scale. And so we've really structured it, and like I feel like we've switched our model over time. And so the essentials is like a website. It includes ads and includes go high level. So essentially, like, we're your support team to like bring the leads in, help you edit the video creatives and the graphic creatives. We don't actually film the content, but that like gives you what you need to bring the leads in using Meta. And then our growth package is the step up, is the middle package, where we're doing the SEO, where we're doing, Google My Business posting, we're doing Google ads. So we like expand on the service offering. And then we have one that's called the scale package. And then again, it's just a higher price. And that includes more automation, more follow-up. And then you could say more foot on the gas. And the biggest thing that I love about our packages is like taking responsibility specifically for everything. Like, we're going to run your ads. Okay, let us make the images, let us edit the videos, let us take control of your go high level. Like, let's make sure these opportunities are dialed in, because then we set them up for success. And if somebody does, like, then we see, hey, you haven't phoned your leads. Well, now it's in their court a little bit. Hey, you better phone these people. Like, you got to phone them in 5 minutes. It's the best practice, and so, and then every package is more foot on the gas, but I love the structure, right? Cause like essentials, growth, and scale, like lots of companies, especially in marketing, it's about building the trust and being able to start them off on the essentials. And then, as they grow, they can choose a larger package, or depending on where they want to go. But the biggest thing is taking responsibility of the whole process. Cause I feel like as soon as we give, like, it's like, hey, here's the things you have to do every month. Now you're going to get a lot of backlash because like they get busy. You're not going to get it. You're like, hey, I didn't launch the ad because you didn't get me this. Like, more structuring, like, hey, you don't get me this, we're launching the ad for you, unless you tell us you don't want more leads, right? But like, just like really taking full responsibility of the process, of the wins and the losses. And that's the best thing.
So you've got these packages. Like, what can you give me an idea what the price point is for each?
Yeah. So the essentials program is $1,800 a month. We actually we just changed our pricing model. So we started off with the essentials price at $650. Then our growth package was $1,600, and then our scale package was, I believe it was like $2,500, Seth. But then we increased it. We had to check one of those last boxes, minimum fee of $1,500. So we were like, hey, let's make it $1,800. And then we got a little bit of friction because, like, obviously not everybody's going to be able to afford, let's say, $4,000 or $5,000 a month in advertising cost. But then we started getting better clients. And so like now the pricing is $1,800 a month for essentials, $3,000 for the growth, and $4,000 for the scale. But the biggest thing is like it gives us more fuel to give them an even better service. And these customers understand the process. They have salespeople maybe in place, like they're organized. Like the biggest reason that I've found that marketing wouldn't work for somebody is if you're disorganized, because any business needs to, the more clarity you have, the more you can grow. And like, I feel like you can't scale disorganization. You create more disorganization, if that's even the right terminology for that. But
yeah,
so
totally.
It's very clear kind of what the deliverables are, how you price it. Thinking back to that first case study, like what were the results that client got? Like like, just walk us through just like what does a typical client get on the other side?
Yeah. So typical client gets an extra 2 to 3 builds per year is kind of our thing. I do want to add one thing on the packages though.
Yes.
This is probably a ninja hack. I don't know if this one's been covered by you yet or not, but we invested with Alex Ramosi, and one of the things that he taught us was instead of charging monthly, charge on a 4-week period. And this adds an extra pay period every year. So rather than 12 pay periods, you actually get an extra one at 13. And it adds an instant 8.3% to your revenue by having that extra pay period. So we actually structure all of our packages on a weekly basis rather than a monthly basis. And then we also created a downsell too. So we use conditional logic in our forms on Facebook. That's how we typically generate the most amount of our leads other than the joint ventures. And if somebody gets disqualified in that conditional logic, we have a downsell where we give them everything that we would do in our essentials package. We created that into a video course that we can give to people, and that helps them get their revenue up so that they can afford to work with us. And then it builds trust while they do that as well.
So you give that for free to those disqualified opportunities to kind of plant the seed, like in the future, like once you get some results with this, like we're going to be your guys.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly that. To answer Tim's question too, ad spend is not part of our fee. So that $1,800 for us to run Facebook ads, build the website, and do the go high level and all that, everything included in there. Ad spend would be completely separate. We created an ad spend calculator, and I'm working on making this into like if anybody in here has read Endless Customers by Marcus Sheridan, that's going to be our self-serve tool on our website. Is going to be an ad spend calculator where they can we'll put some benchmarks in the different industry, like in the building industry, that they can go off of and then calculate what they need to put into what they want to get out. Yeah.
Fantastic. All right. So it's the monthly fee plus the ad spend. It sounds like getting the website ranked, driving traffic, generating the lead. Are you tracking at this point? Because it's a very high transaction value. You're relying on them getting at least 1 or 2 projects over an extended period of time. Are you helping them figure out like what percentage of those leads are actually qualified, who schedules in, and what turns into a job? Like, how are you closing the loop with the actual sales on the back end of that?
Yeah, absolutely. We're taking a big deep dive into that right now, actually, so that they can have a calculated ROI, like a true ROI on everything. Where we're actually you guys all use agency analytics for the most part, I believe, right?
A lot of the members of
that's what I believe you teach to use on the higher end. So what we're doing is we're creating dashboards and then connecting it with their project management software, where it'll be able to calculate profit based on our money put in, and then our fee will be associated with that. And there'll be just tons of analytics that they can break everything down and see. I put this much in, I put this much, or I got this much out. And then there's different things that it'll pull from Go High Level to see what was the average duration of like when was a lead generated versus like when they actually came in and became a paying customer. What's that average time between stages, between when they come in as a lead to when they sit down with you for the first time? And then how long is it on average from when they sit down with you to when they send a deposit, and so on and so forth, so that they have analytics on all of that.
Love it. Super good. So I know you guys are big students of sales process. You've invested a lot in this. Talk to us about the sales process. So whether it's a referral from a JV or somebody that schedules in from one of your ads, walk us through like prospect to client.
Oh, I would love to share this one. Yeah,
He's the guy for that.
I love like getting somebody on a demo and like jumping on and not actually even pitching them. I take their website and I'm like, one of the best things is like one thing that we definitely have case studies, Josh, but one thing that I think works that's like unbeatable is when I jump on a demo with somebody, I put their website in SE ranking, get a report, see their authority, see what's going on. I look, hey, you're not running any ads. You have no traffic. It says you're getting 50 searches, like you're hardly getting nothing. And then showing them live results on like 15 companies running ads and being like, so these are 15 different home builders in 15 different markets. And the average cost per lead here is $37. This guy got 50 leads. This guy got 20. Hey, and just being real too. Hey, out of those 50 leads, 20 of them then classified as garbage. But here they have 12 that are great. And would you also like this? Yeah, of course I'd like that. Okay, cool. Perfect. This is Go High Level. Do you have a CRM? No, I don't have a CRM. What's a CRM? You know, just educating them. And at the end, it's almost like they're like, how much does this cost? Like, you know, how can I get started? And it's like I almost avoid ever pitching them. I'm just showing them all the loopholes and the gaps. And I feel like a lot of people have went and interviewed like 6 other agencies, and then they come back and I'm like, so why are you choosing us? He's like, you didn't have an out of the box canned sales pitch. Like, you actually cared and showed me what I needed. And I'm like, that's awesome. So,
if I can add on to that too, needs-based selling is one of the biggest things that differentiates us. So we don't sell people things that they don't need. We literally, like, if we feel as if they aren't going to be successful with us, we'll be the first ones to tell them that. And we take more of a consultant approach. The same thing with our account managers. Like, we're putting them through different trainings to make it so that they are very well versed in how marketing should go, and they can act more as consultants than just account managers. And that's how we kind of go right from the start, is like, we're going to tell them if we think they'll be successful with this. And I think that really separates us based on our competition that are just trying to hard sell. Another thing, like what Nick talked about, there's a saying that we live by, and it's people believe what they see, not what they hear. Mm-hmm. And so that is kind of the experience that we want to give them. Another one that we also say over and over again in our sales process is, oh crap, I just literally blanked on it. I had it loaded and then it disappeared from my brain. Yeah, people believe what they see, not what they hear. That's exactly it. It'll come back to me later, but yeah, we only sell people what they need. We're very consultant approach rather than sales approach. And we don't follow like, here's our PowerPoint presentation.
No pitch deck, right? It's like, what are you trying to do? Let me show you. Yeah. Like, here's where you're not coming up. Here's some of our clients getting great results, and leave it there. You mentioned the high level component, which I really like, and the fact that they don't. Are you including that in your program? Do you sell it separate? Yep. Talk to us about how that integrates to what you do.
Yeah, that's all connected in all the packages. Every package includes it. It's just how much are we implementing and how much are we building out within the account would depend on like what platform. But, you know, I feel like the CRM is just as it's almost, if you don't have a CRM, in my opinion, I tell people don't even run the ads because you're not even going to do a good enough job following them up. You're going to retract, like somebody's going to say, hey, I want to build in 5 months, and then it's in your email 15, you know what I mean? Like 15 pages back in the email. You're not going to remember. Even you're like, I remember that person, but you're going to have a hard time finding them. And so, yeah, I feel like the CRM is, it's the most important for our clients, but it's like, even I think of us, like, you know, to add on to the sales process is like, we're spending a lot of money on ads, but we're also have 300 outbound calls per day. Right? Like we're trying to we're doing like our goal is to sign up 15 clients, 15 to 20 per month, and 300 outbound calls a day, 5 days a week, you know, like, and I would like even more people make, you know, like I want to grow even more so we can have more outbound calls. But like, I feel like that's like in the marketing space, like people are like, hey, like it's going to be so easy. And it's like just following the process is actually pretty easy, but the amount of calls that it actually takes to get these deals closed is wild. Like I just closed the deal today, but it took 3 weeks, 3 meetings, and it was great. Like I'm super excited, but like, you know, probably 20 calls went into like actually confirming that deal. And so I know some people are like, I'm too scared to phone him back. He's going to think I'm annoying. Well, make the call. Cause if you, it's better for him to think you're annoying and then help him with his problem than him just forget about you or him or her, you know?
No doubt. I'd love to drill down on that. Cause you know, it sounds like multi-channels working well, right? You've got the Facebook ads, you've got the case study funnel, you've got the JVs. Talk to us about that outbound engine. Like, where are those people based? Who's making these calls?
Yeah, funny story. I actually just hired my dad, and my dad, he's very blue collar guy. He's got no sales experience at all, but he has drive, and he's got the want to learn, and he believes in our product because he's watched Nick and I for the last 5-6 years in marketing. And so he's one of our outbound callers, training him right now. But then we have 2 other guys that are actually phoning from the Philippines. But when I tell you that these guys don't have an accent, I mean like they sound like they're from Brooklyn, New York. Like if you talked with them on the phone, like it actually, like they sound more English, more American than I sound. And these guys have high, like we pay them very well. We believe in paying our people very well. So even people overseas are getting paid, you know, competitive American wages. And we just give people opportunities. And so these two guys, they're brothers. They live in the Philippines, pay them super well, and they treat them well as well. And they do outbound calls for us. And they had not too much experience when they came on with us, but they've been with us almost a year now. And they've completely sharpened themselves into weapons. And I meet with them on a weekly basis, and I'm teaching them everything that I know about sales. And eventually they will replace Nicholas and I on like closing deals. And then they'll have the next setters come in under them. So that's what we're trying to work towards right now. But yeah.
So it's wild too. Like
300 dials a day. Can you give us an idea what the basic scripting is? Like, are they trying to go straight to appointment? Are they offering a resource?
Yeah, so they're just strictly just going for an appointment set. The resource, the only time we would do a resource would be, actually, I don't think we've ever called to try and offer a free resource. That could be a good play, a good idea, Josh. But it's strictly just like we're finding local businesses on Google and on BBB, doing a little bit of research on them, see if they have a bad website, and then going and phoning them, and then just asking qualifying questions. And if somebody says, well, you know, why should I pick you guys? Well, we don't know if you should yet, sir. That's why we're gonna ask you some questions and see if it's a good fit and go from there. So really just trying to sell the appointment, not trying to sell the deal on the call. And then again, taking that consultant approach. Yeah.
So good. Nicholas, I'm sorry I cut you off. It sounded like you were gonna say something there on the cold calling.
Oh, yeah, I was just going to say, just expanding on what Seth said there, is that Jerome and Jarek have gotten so good that like somebody will phone and I'll answer the phone and they'll be like, well, I was speaking to Jerome. He understands me. He understands my situation. Like, I don't want to repeat myself. I'm like, if they're, that impresses me because I'm like, they don't even want to speak to me anymore. Jerome and Jarek, they got them like, I don't know, they handled the situation enough to where they feel supported already. And, that was like a weird feeling for me at first, but I love it.
That's cool. So Paul here's asking, how are you guys implementing AI either in the outbound process or even in the client delivery side of the equation?
Yeah. Okay. Well, there's a lot that we do with AI. We actually just hired an AI implementer that's like doing a full audit on everything in our business and coming up with like a plan on how we can use AI more than we already are. Right now, I would say the biggest way that we use AI is to help with like content creation, ideation, that kind of stuff. We don't use AI for like design really at this point. Like we're not using it to generate like first drafts of websites or anything along those lines. I would say with Go High Level, we use AI for our clients with like the chatbot, but I think that's pretty standard. We don't do anything with like outbound dials with AI yet. I feel like that's not quite where it needs to be, in my opinion, just to like represent the brand well. Ask me the same question in a year, it might be a completely different answer, but right now it's just not quite there. And then we've tried using AI for like video editing and then like cloning ourselves. The only way that we've been able to use AI with video so far, anybody that's listening to, go check out our Instagram. We try to be super aggressive on there, like posting quite religiously. But we use AI to come up with B-roll for our clients. So what we'll do is a lot of them are really bad at taking pictures and videos. And so we'll take some of the bad pictures that they have and then optimize it, make the lighting better with AI. Or if they're shooting videos and they don't have any B-roll, we'll take finished photos of that they've sent us, and we'll actually turn that into a video B-roll using like Nana Banana or any of these other ones. So that's a few different ideas that we're implementing right now. But Nick, what am I missing here?
I think you covered most of it. I think AI is amazing, but again, I don't know, Seth, you said the wild, wild west. I feel like AI is like the wild, wild west right now because it's like such a buzzword. Like, how can we automate our business? And you should automate it to the max that you can. But like, I still feel like AI is the best when you have still great people running the AIs. You can't just like expect to take an AI and it's going to like really, really like revolutionize some, or at least maybe I don't have the information yet. I want to find that information, but like, I still feel like you need great people to like, even if you're using graphic design, using AI, you need a great graphic designer to like maybe use AI, save some time, then spice it up with the actual skill.
I'd say
yeah.
One of the bigger things that we're doing with AI is our onboarding. So this kind of touches into Gail's question too earlier, but so we found a way to kind of automate most of our onboarding call, or like most of our onboarding. So when somebody like, for instance, signs our contract, that's the beginning of, I mean, a lot of people mix up automation with AI. They think that automation is AI in a lot of cases. This is more automation mixed with AI. But like, it's, as soon as that contract is signed, it auto generates like an invoice, and then it auto sends an email based on what's in that contract. And then in there is like another set of automations that like books their onboarding call and sends them various different reminders and things that they should have prepared. It goes, creates a project in ClickUp, notifies the team. There's a few other things that go on in there. I'm not the one that set it up, it was our team, but there's some good stuff in there. And we're just honestly putting some final touches on that too, to make that like super 10 out of 10. But that's probably one of the bigger things that we've done with it, is just kind of take a lot of that burden off our team with miscellaneous tasks.
That's awesome. I think, yeah, let's shift gears then. We've talked about the niche. We've talked about what the program is. We've talked about how you land clients and kind of the strategies that you're using to schedule sales, close deals, bring clients on board. Let's talk about the onboarding process. You mentioned some of the AI, but like, what does it look like when a client is onboarded, and what's that experience, and how are you retaining? Like, you've had rapid growth. There's lots of work to do on the back end of that as well.
Yeah. Hiring people that are smarter than us. Go ahead.
Yeah. Like, in retention is like when we go and we're in the onboarding process, let's say I'm the one who, let's say, closed the deal. I'll jump on with an account manager, and we only allow so many accounts per account manager, so that we have like room to think and give them the greatest attention, so that they get the best results. But then being able to, like, the biggest thing for our retention, I feel like, was me and Seth being able to let go and be like, hey, we hired this great person. They are going to take care of this client the same way we would. And then, like, obviously but that's been the biggest thing. And then we set up weekly meetings. So like, we're implementing agency analytics now, but for the last year, one of the biggest things is just going over like the actual stats that matter to them, because we also had agency analytics a few years ago, and some clients were like, hey, I don't care for this 15-page report on all these numbers. All I want to know is how many leads am I getting? How many deals how much money am I making? Keep it simple. But I guess
I'd love to add my 2 cents too, is one of the biggest things, like what you touched on, Nick, our account managers, we don't overload them. So you, I believe, say that 25 to 30 is kind of what your sweet spot is per account manager. We've actually done it so it's like 20 accounts per account manager. So it's a little bit lower, and definitely have to hire a little bit more. But each account manager can have a personal relationship with the project, take on that more of a consulting role, and just they have more attention to give to the clients. And I think there was another question that was asked earlier. How often do we meet with our clients? They're getting met with on like a regular, like weekly basis. So we set up either weekly scheduled calls or bi-weekly scheduled calls, depending on what the client wants. If they want to be more hands-off, heck, we'll even do a 1 month, a monthly review. Typically clients are pretty hands-on though, for the most part. And so then we'll meet with them on like either a weekly or bi-weekly basis to go over results. And we're like, one of the biggest things is in that onboarding call. We want to get everything that we possibly can up front, making sure that we're nailing everything. And then one thing we actually recently started doing too is we'll transcribe the onboarding call and then transcribe all the exercises we get the client to do ahead of time, put that into a GPT and share that GPT throughout the team, so that everybody can reference to that as a resource on what that client talked about, what their service area is, what exactly makes them different, so on and so forth. So that's a big thing that's helped us with retention, is how much attention goes to them on the account manager side. But then also just, trying to get the most wicked results possible is huge too. Staying on top of trends, staying on top of separating them versus their competition these are all great things, and getting quick wins, like you mentioned. in your training is huge. You don't want to wait 2 months for them to start seeing results. You want to get them some kind of quick win, whether that's going in and getting their Google business profile verified that they've been trying to do for the last 12 months, or getting, their website copy rewritten on their homepage. That's like a quick win you can do that can, reap some quick rewards for them. Or, write them an ebook and use that as a lead magnet. That's another really quick win that you can do up and get that on their website. They can start seeing results from it. This type of stuff just gets them, they're starting to see a little bit of progress. They're starting to like, okay, whoa, that was quick. These guys are on it. And then, even though the SEO might take a little bit of time to work, they're still seeing some wins on the back end. So yeah, those are all things that have it's honestly, it's everything put together. All the small things done right is what gets the results and handles the retention. But like Nick said, you have to be hands-off on the owner's side for you to get to that point, because Nick and I can't be the ones meeting with the clients anymore, doing all the small things. And so learning how to, in order to elevate, you must delegate, as Dan says. And so you got to learn how to delegate. You got to learn how to put people in charge of these different things. And then having SOPs per small task. Every small task that's assigned to somebody should have an SOP attached to that task so they know how to do it. And then you never run into an issue of, oh, we didn't know how to do it. It's either they didn't follow the SOP or the SOP is broken. It's one of the two, and you can fix either or. You either replace the person or replace the SOP. So yeah,
I love it. So we get them in the onboarding form. We leverage AI to kind of make that as smooth, as quick as possible. Go deep, capture all of the details. Give them some exercises, transcribe that, get into a GPT so you've got the raw materials to hit the ground running. And then super frequent communication with the client. Sounds like on a weekly or biweekly basis, depending upon their preference. And then reporting on the things they care about, not all the minutia, but like how many leads do we generate? Like what's our return on investment, and continuing to nudge the needle forward. Something you said that I really resonate with is, the best retention strategy is to generate amazing results, right? All other things being equal, if they're winning, they're going to stay, but they also need to have great relationship and know that you guys care, which it sounds like you're doing really, really well with. Let's shift gears now. So now we've talked about how we land the clients and how we're retaining the clients. But let's talk a little bit about how you think about scale. Now at $100,000 monthly recurring revenue, elevate and delegate. Like, what does the team structure look like, and how are you guys managing that part?
Yeah. So it's been like a very fun journey over the last 12 months, growing from just me and Seth and a few team members. So right now we have 25 people. I feel like we're really structured to scale right now. We have a really reliable, great team. So our team, we have 9 of us in Canada. So 3 people are in Kelowna. We have 3 of us here. And then we have a few in Newfoundland. And then we have, people in the Philippines, a couple people in Bangladesh, one in India, and then one actually immigrated to Thailand. So that was kind of cool. He moved countries. But so, our team is all remote. And honestly, we've built such an amazing culture. I feel like that's one of the reasons why we have grown this fast, is because one of my philosophies is 1% better every day. And if the business is only as good as the people in the business, because if the people weren't there, the business wouldn't exist. And so I have this philosophy that hey, every 3 to 6 months, everybody has to make more money. Otherwise, that means you weren't getting 1% better, because if you're stalling, then somewhere in the business is going to start stalling. And then that's been huge. So painting the vision of where we're going with the company, but then actually backing that up. And every time that we do hit a new mark, it's everybody on the team's getting rewarded. And I don't know. It's we've created, I would like to say, people who've joined our company. They're I've never, I had all of our people on social media, I like to stay connected. And one person was hey, I've never had somebody follow me on social media for my work. Why did you do that? I'm well, dude, I care about you, man. We're going to be working together. Why wouldn't I want to know you? Of course I'm going to want to know you. So I feel also on the team side is caring so much about your team. Rather, some people have this egotistical, oh, I'm the boss. No, you're a team. Every person on the team is so valuable. And, Yeah, that would be like my biggest. I think that's the biggest win on why we've grown so much is sales, and we're doing everything from seven-figure agency has got us there. But then at the end of the day, just building a culture that like me and Seth love showing up to, but then also the people on our team love showing up to. I think is like that feels like my biggest win to date, just because like happy team. I mean, happy life.
Yeah, it works that way, doesn't it? So I love that you've intentionally built a virtual environment. You've got national as well as international, but you've created a culture where there's a team vibe going. Like any intentional things that you've done, either from meeting rhythms or the way you're connecting on Slack to develop that culture?
I would say every morning we have a 15-minute meeting. And that's like a meeting where we connect and we sync. And then we have independent like department meetings where they have like their own leadership meetings. But I would say it comes from like just constantly staying interested on those calls. And like, honestly, like Seth, every morning we do this thing at the end of our call where he's like, everybody pick a number from 1 to 10. And then we'll throw like a motivational quote or like something that's like, that will expand our mind to get 1% better. And it's pretty awesome. People get jacked up. And then do you know on Wednesdays, do you know the like Geico commercial, like the camel in the office video? He's like, it's hump day, it's Wednesday. Like, I don't know, like just like play funny videos and like, just like, only live once. So make everybody laugh. And like, but we're all serious about the targets, but like keeping it like serious and fun, if that makes any sense. Like,
yeah. That's a good point. Just to add on to that too, I think like, the environment that we create as leaders, I think is very, very important. The vibe that we carry into that morning sync that we have every day, we try and go in there super high energy, super positive. Like we don't meet for very long with our entire team every day. It's literally just a 15-minute sync where we go over all the wins from the previous day. We don't discuss anything negative. We start the day off with a really high note. And then we go at the end of the day, like Nick mentioned, motivational quote, throw some jokes in there. Everybody's like super high energy. Sometimes I get everybody to get up and do jumping jacks. If I ask in the morning, how's everybody doing today? And I get like 1 or 2 answers. I'm like, all right, it's a jumping jack kind of day. And then we're all standing up doing jumping jacks. And then everybody's smiling and laughing after that. But you gotta be like super positive, like, cause you as the owner kind of carry the vibe of the whole company. And if you come in and you're like, just rolled out of bed, your hair's messy and, you're like a little bit like slow and tired, and you that type of stuff translates into how you communicate. Your voice is how you communicate. 63% of your communication comes from your tonality, and you got to be like amped up when you hop on these meetings with your team. Because if they're coming in and they're feeling like you're just like, oh, he's kind of slacking today. I mean, I'm gonna kind of slack today. But no, Nick and I hop in there and we're like ready to get after it. And I think that plays into another thing that Nick and I also believe in. And this is something that we've said for the last 5 years is everything is everything. And that might not make a lot of sense until I explain it, but like we believe that everything's connected. Now, if you're like neglecting things in your personal life, that will come into your business, meaning that like if you're not doing your laundry and you're fighting with your spouse and, you haven't gone to the gym in the last month, that type of stuff comes back into your business, whether you like it or not. You got to be firing on all cylinders in every area of life. You got to make sure that your bills are paid on time. You got to make sure that you're going to the gym, you're eating right, your relationships are taken care of. And that all comes back into your business. I truly believe. I believe that it's connected in one way or another, subconsciously or not. But you got to have your faith right. You got to have your relationships right, your fitness right, your health right. Everything's got to be right. And then you will be able to absolutely crush it in business. And people can see that when they're talking to you.
I love that. Yeah. Set the vibe. You create the energy for the team. Yep. How you do one thing is a representation of how you do everything. It's not just how you show up at work. It's how you show up with your health, your fitness, your family, your faith. I love that. Paul says, you guys, it's so refreshing to hear this. You guys are crushing it. It's not just about the revenue, right? It's not just about the growth. It's really about the impact you're having and the way you're showing up for your team. A couple questions that I just want to make sure we get to before we start to wrap up. Gail is saying, Do you guys have a monthly newsletter or a general marketing info session that you offer your clients to attend, or like is that something you guys aren't doing?
No, that's not something that we're doing right now.
That's something
Definitely a good idea. Definitely something that we should do. We've never done a monthly newsletter, like a general marketing info session before, but it's a good idea to kind of keep your team active, your clients active in your company. I think another really great thing that we're wanting to implement for Q1 in 2026 is the Facebook community. It's something that we've never done before. We just haven't had the bandwidth, but now we have the team to kind of handle that, and so that'll definitely be on somebody's rocks.
Kind of create that cross-pollination of the client base.
Yeah, and I think that would sync perfectly with maybe doing like monthly trainings of some sort. And
yeah. Another question here is from Swampna. I'm sorry, Swampna, if I'm saying it wrong, but have you lost any companies that are like thinking this should all just be done by AI? Says that's an objection he's getting frequently, and wondering if you deal with that or how you would address that objection.
Honestly,
we just lost one customer.
We did just lose one, but then that was also because like I think that the monthly fee was like way lower with this like AI platform for $70 a month. But the answer to that, I don't think we haven't had too many objections, simply because it's how you use it's still the people behind the AI. So it'll like make you more efficient when you have great people running it. But at the end of the day, like these people need to they're hiring you for the result. And most of the time, if somebody's in a position where they're like, hey, I'm just going to like use this AI platform, 99% sure it will not work for them, because like you still need some level of genius to like have all of the boxes checked to like make sure it's successful. And maybe somebody could prove me wrong, but I think that you still need great people, and that'll make the outcome really good, and you can use AI to buy back that time. But for the person who's like, hey, I'm just going to use this AI machine, then you could probably say, hey, like, I respect that, but like at the end of the day, let's see you do it. Like, get them to pull open the website and say, hey, try to get what you want out of this. And then they're going to be like, I can't do it. And then you can show them the way.
To add on to that too, I think that the type of clients that we're trying to attract don't want to take the easy AI route. They want to deal with real people. They want to deal with somebody they can pick the phone up, have a conversation with, that knows their business, knows them, and wants the best for them. Not some AI program that's 2 clicks and now you're all them automatically number 1 on Google. It's the type of clients that are using that. And now there's probably a ton of people in the building industry that are using that, but a lot of them are going to be ones that are trying to cut corners that are lower end customers. And so those are the people that we completely avoid by displaying our pricing on our website, doubling our pricing, and having our minimum fee at $1,800.
I agree. I think the higher you go up the market, the more you're going to be dealing with sophisticated business owners that understand, their strategy, there's work that needs to be done to make all of this stuff play. Yeah. Perfect answer to that question. Guys, and kind of coming to conclusion, first of all, thanks for coming on and sharing, and congratulations on your success. Cannot wait to see what you guys accomplish in the next couple of years, because I think you're just going to continue to have accelerated growth and momentum. But, if you had one last piece of wisdom for that agency owner that's just trying to get to the next level, what would that be? And we can start with you, Nicholas, and then we'll go to Seth.
One piece of advice that I would have is just, like, honestly, if you're on here, 7-figure agency, you got to take action, number one, because that's the first thing that you need. Well, like, I don't know, action, but then follow the 7-figure agency plan, because honestly, like, that's like it sounds cliche, but like seriously, we just followed the plan and like really hammered the plan, and we were implementing this stuff. It wasn't perfect. Nothing is perfect the first go around, but then you implement it. You have something that's like kind of all right, and then you keep making it better and better and better and better. That'd be my show up every day, be ready to work, and follow the 7-figure agency platform, because it's seriously I'm not sure, Josh, hundreds of agencies have now hit this mark because of
182 is the current count.
182. And you're literally giving away the checkbox for free on your agency growth system. So like that system is like the creme of the crop. Now, I guess you just need all the training so that you implement it correctly, because your platform offers one reason why Seven Figure Agency is so amazing is because you're like, hey, there's this box that I need to check. Now you can go to the resource section, click on it, watch the videos, educate yourself on it. And then most of the time there's a playbook involved. So now it's not even like, hey, I got to spend 40 hours trying to develop something. It's already developed to be successful. And I think that's truly amazing.
I love that, Nicholas. Thanks for sharing that. Yeah, that's great. Follow the process. You know, like you guys brought a lot of energy, a lot of innovation. You know, like I don't want anyone to think like you just magically follow the steps. Like you guys took it, you executed, you innovated, and that's why you guys are where you are today.
100%. But I give so much credit. Like, yes, we put in so much effort, but like we did for years, and until we followed the system, we never had, I guess you could say, a steady, like a great business. So I guess I'm just forever grateful for that training, Josh, everything that you've done, because I couldn't imagine if I was on the hamster wheel for more years, that would be no good.
Love that. Amazing share. How about you, Seth?
So this piece of advice is for what type of agency?
Let's say any agency, let's say, you know, trying to get out of the 10K, 20K, 30K, 50K through the 7-figure level.
Okay. I would say one term, needs-based selling. Work with the right type of clients and switch it from just taking everybody's money that will give it to you to only working with clients that you can see a long-term relationship with, and switch yourself from being a salesperson to being a consultant. If you can make that pivot and really just approach every single relationship, every single lead that you want to service them first, rather than just, you know, take their money and you know, do the work, figure out how you can be who you work with, how you can be the most value to them. That would be my biggest piece of advice. Another thing would be just take a deep dive into becoming the best version of yourself, and that will translate into your business too.
So good. So many great insights and takeaways. You guys are rock stars. Thanks for coming on and sharing. If people wanted to connect with you further and kind of get to know you better, what would be the best way to connect?
Instagram. Home Builder Marketers on Instagram.
Home Builder Marketers.
Yeah, Home Builder Marketers on Instagram is the best way to get in touch with us. We answer all our DMs. It's me and Nick in there that are actually answering, so that would be best.
Or Seth VanDaele, Instagram or Facebook, or Nicholas Cormier, Instagram, Facebook. Pretty much everywhere. Just search Home Builder Marketers, Nicholas Cormier or Seth VanDaele, and you'll find us somewhere.
Yeah.
So good. Guys, thanks for your abundance mindset and your willingness to come on and just share. Like, here's what works for us. Here's what we're doing in the marketplace. If you got value from today's session, be sure to reach out to these guys and thank them for sharing and thank them for their abundance mindset. We're going to wrap up here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Be sure to like this video wherever you happen to be watching, and hit the subscribe button if there's one here. Thanks, everybody. We'll see you on the next episode of the 7-Figure Agency podcast.